Greetings and welcome back to Created by Chaos. Now, I'm about to embark on doing a whole lot of terrain. I mean, a whole lot of terrain. And beforehand, I wanted to up my ante with some new washes. And I thought I'd go through the process with you to explain what I do. So, I mean, I've got these little bottle things here that I bought from the $2 store, and some little labels and such, red, brown, basic, brown, black, and so forth. And labeling is very important because, sometimes it's hard to tell your black from your brown, so it is handy to label. Also, a bit of green. I don't know if it looks green, it might look a bit blue to you, but it's definitely green. And I'm also going to be using some dark raw umber and some light red, sort of like a clay sort of thing. These things have done me so well in the past, so they're going to be added to the washes. Now, simply put, I've been using this method since 85, I think it was. It's been modified a little bit here, there along the way. I think about 6 or 7 years ago, I started using acrylic inks. I tried with a few other inks beforehand. I tried like the India ink, which is an alcoholic one. Good and bad results, I would say. The problem is, as you can tell, it goes from light to dark. It either works really well or it doesn't work very well at all. But that said, they were also on special for only like $2 each. So, I mean, you can't argue for trying around for $2 each. Now, water. Some people like to use the stuff you use for ironing boards and so forth, or, it's just, purified water. That's great. I'm a simple man, and normal tap water works perfectly fine. It's up to you personally. Some people boil it. It's personal choice. But here in Perth, where I live, our water is pretty darn good, so I don't see a problem. So what I'm going to do is I'll show you the process and go for a bit of a test. Now, me personally, I'd rather have it a little bit darker than a little bit lighter. Mostly because the fact is, I'm doing very dark gothic terrain. Here's something that I painted yesterday. So, and it's a very dark brown sort of, it's old and rustic and so forth. So that's the sort of look I want to do. And this was from my old washes, which unfortunately I used the last of it on this. This is from Terrain Tinker. Absolutely amazing program. You should check it out. It is amazing. It's so addictive. It's like Sim Cities, but for dungeon making, and you can print it out. Anyway, I'm getting sidetracked. So I'll do a black, a brown, a basic, and a red brown. Okay? So I just want to go through the process. Now, there are two different types. There is this one, which is a little squirty bottle. You can just open up the knob there and pour, and away you go. And these things are amazing. But I also have spray bottles. And the reason why I have spray bottles is sometimes when you're doing a miniature and you want to spray it and you want the stuff to streak down. You want to just streak down lightly and so forth. Maybe it's like a little splattering of blood or rust or whatever, and you just want to streak it and make it just look like natural gravity. That's where the spray bottles come in really handy. Normally what you do with a squirty bottle is you'd have to turn it on its side, squirts a little bit on there, and then flop it around and twist until you've got a perfect spray bottle. Not a problem. Also good for blood splatters, like I said. I mean, I just use a very, very light spray, just get the nice little of death. Okay, so you've got your water, and what you do is you use this stuff. This is Liquid-X. Now, I got this today. It was a little bit more expensive than what I liked, but and I wanted a smaller bottle, but I've never used one so huge before, but it's the same stuff. Now, like all products, especially the inks and so forth, you want to give this sucker a good shake. All right, I shaked it before I started the video, but I'll do it again. Now, I'm not too sure how well this is going to go on video, but what you want to do is you want to get not a huge amount, but a fair amount. So this stuff is heavy, so it'll just sink to the bottom, okay? There we go. So that's a fair amount. That might be a little bit too much, but we'll see how we do. All right, so actually, yes, it is a smidge too much water. All right. So there we go, that's a bit better. All right, so water's there. It's about a 20 to 30% mixture, okay? Next thing you do is, and you go to your kitchen, and you get a little bit of detergent. Now this, you need a very small smidge amount. Hopefully, like I said, a very small amount. Okay? Now which one was this? This was black, wasn't it? Okay. So, black is this one here. Now, I have not used this black before, but it comes highly recommended by an artist friend of mine that says this stuff is amazing, and she's usually on the ball. Unfortunately, it doesn't come with a little dropper thing, so I'm going to have to use a pipette. I think that's what they're called, pipettes. And then I'm going to pop that in there. Now, I'm going to put in 3 heavy squirts. Now, like I said, I would rather have this thing darker than lighter. I can always just use a little. Okay, that's done there, yeah? We all in? Blow me bubbles, I don't know if it's done or not. Okay. Now, usually, whenever I've used anything on the pipette, the first thing I do is I just go over and I just pump some water through it and make sure it gets nice and clean. So it's not perfect just yet, but it's getting clean. All right. So where did I put the lid? There we are. Now, as always, give it a done good shaking. Okay. I always have trouble with lids. I don't know how the problem is with that. Come on. I think this lid's... Is this lid... No. Ah, that's not the correct lid. That's why. Okay. There we go. Helps if you use the correct lid. So there we go. So it's in there, and it's all... so what you need to do is just... Whoops, that easy, is that? That's not on, oh, it's not clamped down, that's why. Okay. So what you do is just give it a really good shake, and I mean, you really go for it. Just... You want to mix that all up. Now, that's what the detergent's for, is to help to break up the Liquid-X medium a little bit, make it a little bit more flowy. And you can tell there it's not quite happening just yet. I may need to put a little bit more detergent in. I'm hoping that's just on the sides there. It's not actually all the way through. Now, with the spray bottles, I do not use the matte medium. And I'll show you why after I do it. There we go. So now it's done. So what you can do is you can get like a little, test model. What I want to see on this is how it runs and how it looks. Oh, it's a bit foamy in there. What a surprise. Okay, so I don't use a good brush. I tend to use something cheap and nasty. And I just want to dab it in. And then get my model and just give it a go. So that's perfect. It's coming on nice and dark. I can still see all the lines. It's a bit bubbly because of the detergent. I should really wait for that to settle, but all right. Yeah, that's perfect. So all this is used for is getting into the nooks and crannies of any model. You want to cover it, but still show what's underneath it. So you can still see that there's white there, but it's now got that color over the top. And it's going into the crease lines really well. If anything, I would put in a little bit more detergent, and I would also add a little bit more color. I'd add a little bit more black. It's a nice black, and it's quite dark. It looks quite pretty, but yeah. I think the bubbling is because of the matte medium and the detergent. I think I need a little bit more detergent in there. All right, so what I'll do is I'll just put a little bit more detergent in. Yeah. Okay, I'll just put 2 drops in. So once again, I haven't added any more black just yet. I don't know what it is with me and lids. It's either it works real well or it doesn't. Okay, that's on properly. All right, so I've just added, like I said, 2 drops of detergent. Now, we got spillage. Why is that going on? That's interesting. Well, the black is black, I tell you that much. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. This is why you do not buy cheap like I did, because it's leaking a little bit. There we go. This means I'm going to have to go to the non-$2 store and purchase some better ones. There we go. All right, well, for the purposes of this, it'll show me what I need to know. That's the important thing. Oh dear, that's a shame. But they were cheap and nasty. What did I expect, really? Okay, so let's give it another go. Hopefully now the detergent has worked. Okay. Yes, a lot better. No massive amounts of tiny little bubbles. Yeah, it's come up beautifully. I don't know how well you can see that on camera, but before over here it was all bubbly like crazy. There's still little bubbles here, but nowhere near as much. And it's come out beautifully in dark, which is great to show the recesses and such. All right. So that's that one done. And I will have to go off to the shops tomorrow and purchase some better bottles. That's a shame. But now, is that because I didn't put it on tight enough? Well, it's because I didn't put it on tight enough. That's why. Okay, so the bottles are good. I'm just not being cautious enough. All right. Now, only thing I will mention is your hands will get covered in paints and inks and so forth. That's a given. All right, so that's how you do with inks. Now, I can show you the green, I can show you the brown and so forth, but I'm going to show you the other way, which is the red-brown. So I don't use any of, well, sorry, I do use this. It's the spray bottles I don't use it for. So I'm going to use some of this, but what I'm going to do is, I'm going to do it a little bit differently. First of all, I'm going to remove a little bit of water. I think that's a little bit too much. There we go. And I want to put about about 20, 30% in there. Now, if I was doing a basic, that would be it. That would be it. A bit of detergent, away you go. And with that, you can add any colors you want to. So if I'm using a palette and I put down some blue, I can just squirt a little bit of this stuff on there with the blue, mix it all around, and it'll go a lot further. So, you know, it's a type of watering, but you don't really lose that consistency that you do with just normal water. It works really well. So, I'll get my detergent, and once again, we'll just put a healthy supply this time in there. And we're going to use this light brown. Get him focused, damn it. Okay. Now, with this stuff, good shake. This stuff is hard to come by, for me anyway, in my little city. So I really love this stuff. So I squirt a healthy amount in there. And I put a lid on, and I put it on tightly. Okay, now once again, good old-fashioned shake, and you can see pretty much right away it's turned into that. Now, I'm doing a lot of like medieval cities and buildings and so forth. This stuff will be used lightly. So black, yes. The darker browns, yes. And a little bit of this. This is more used for like dungeons, for stoneworks and so forth. So, I mean, I've got this here, which is a large piece of stonework. This will be used on that to contrast that. So this will be very dark, browny, green, and this will be very greeny, sludgy, and I'll have this as well. So it'll contrast one after the other. So there you go. That's your red-brown done. Let's give it a quick test with a paintbrush, just to make certain. Oh, look, it's come out free for me. Isn't that very nice of it? I think I will go to the store tomorrow and pick up a bit better bottles. Now, once again, there's the black finished. It looks beautiful. I can still see everything underneath, but I can still see, oh, that's a bit wet. Let's not use that. Okay. Let us get a nicer brush. Right. I can find, oh, there we are, nicer brush. Oh, we get a nicer brush. Right. So let's try a little bit of this, shall we? It's coming off the sides here. So, and there we go. So it's going into the crevasses very nicely. Move that light away a little bit. Let's just get a bit more out, shall we? So we have our rock. Yeah. So that's perfect. I don't want it to be over the top. I want it to be nice and dirty. Make it look sludgy and browny red. And that's what this paint is, just a nice browny red. It's very dirt. If you go to an Australian town called Kalgoorlie, we have red earth, and this is very much, reminds you very much of it, like it. It can also be used for different types of blood, so I would put this down first, and then I would put a more redder blood over the top of it, so this looks like it's been dried and watered down and try to be wiped away and so forth. Has a wonderful effect. Okay, now, last but not least, let's do a green. Actually, no, let's do another brown, but we'll do it in the spray bottle. That sounds nice. All right, so spray bottle is different because you can't use the medium per se because it's just too cloggy. I have tried before in the past and it works fine for a couple of days and then not really. All right, so all it is just simple tap water and your brown. That's it. You really can't mess it up. And what I will do is I will put, I don't know, a fair amount in. I would say about 3 full droppers worth. And make sure you get everything out. So let's go for 4. Okay, that should be plenty. Right, now, like I said, this stuff is for showing gravity and so forth. I don't actually have anything big enough, I don't think, that can really show it to you on. But let's just give it a bit of a mix up there. So all we're doing is give it a nice little turn. All right, well, I got this. I got this here. So what I'll do is I'll just spray it on there. There you go. So you've got a nice little watery brown, tan. That's still a little bit light. I might try a little bit more brown. That's a very leathery look. I want it a little bit more dark, a little bit more. That's nice, but it's not. It's subtle, but it's not what I want. So let's give it 3 more. Wow. Okay. Now I've used this ink before, so I've never had a problem with it. But unless, of course, they've changed the recipe. That's one thing I do not like with my art, when they change the recipe on you and they don't tell you about it. Okay. Tell you what we'll do is when we mix this one up, we'll give it a good shake and we'll just use a brush on it. That might be a bit easier. I mean, I'm trying to use a spray bottle when it should be used on bigger things. So bear with me, I'll just find a brush. I did have a nice one here a moment ago. There it is. Come back here, nice brush, don't run away. Alright, so it's been given a good shake. Right, I've got a model here. We'll just dab our brush in. Yeah, it's a lot better. I'm not too sure if I'm not too sure if it equates. Oh, I'm an idiot. I know what I'm doing wrong. Don't mind me. All right, so when you do your brown, you're supposed to put in a double of the black. Just a smidge to help darken it up. One of these days, I should start writing all this stuff down and not just using it in my brain. Okay. Now, we should find the fact that it'll work fine. And the one thing I do like about these spray bottles is they're very, very good. All right, let's try it with spray, shall we? Much darker. There we go. So that side was the one that's done. Yeah, see, now we got a much darker brown. And my hands are all covered in it. All right, so that's my brown. Okay, do you want to do green? Let's do green. What the hell? Well, let's go with green. Well, let's use green back into the bottle. The spray bottle's just getting all over my hand and I've got it on half my leg here. Okay, so that's not that's a basic. Let's put basic away. Oh hell, let's just do basic over here. Basic is nice and simple. So like I said, this is just a mixture that you use for other paints. I use this a lot. Woo. There we go. And we can pop it down there. Mr. Detergent. And this is Morning Fresh Strawberry and Guava. To be honest with you, the smell or the flavours and so forth makes no real difference. Well, it does smell nice. Hey, wow, look at that. I'm painting with nice smells. Makes a change, because some of these paints can be quite stinky. All right, so that's all it is. And there you're done. So, like I said, so if I'm doing a bit of blue on the table and on my palette and so forth, I can just squirt a little bit of this on there. And like with water, will make it quite thin and so forth. This won't. This will keep it the same sort of consistency, just be more of it. I mean, it will thin it a very smidge amount, but you know, it goes a lot longer. Okay, so green, come on down. I didn't put water in green, did I? Silly me. Okay, so good old tap water. Like I said, you want a half mix. I eyeball most of my stuff, which is why sometimes I'm doing something 3 or 4 times. But that's just who I am and how I do things. All right, so once again, there we go. A little bit of detergent. Now, I want to ask, if you do like this video, could you click the like button, please, and subscribe. I try to do a video once a week or once a fortnight, depending on my workload. Okay, so let me just give that a good shake now, just to get it over and done with and get everything mixed in. So it's nice and milky all the way through. So yes, please like, subscribe, and comment. If you have questions, please ask. This has been used since, like I said, the late 80s. I've changed it around sometimes. Back then we didn't have acrylic, that's a bit funny, acrylic paints and so forth in inks. So I was just using good old-fashioned normal paints. That's going to be a problem, isn't it? You're going to be a problem. Yeah, you're going to be a problem. Okay. Bit too foamy for the moment. Or, as my dad would say, there is foam in them there hills. Okay. Get some of that green off there. So yeah, I would do 3. Let's go for 4. Let's be dangerous. Now, I would use my green mostly for like a moss effect. So if I've got a bit of hilly, an area that's like coated with water regularly and such, like a dungeon or something, and I want a little bit of a green to the side, or, you know, something to make it look hideous and horrible, then this is what I would use it for. But like all things, personal choice. Now, I'm sure on the screen this is going to look blue, isn't it? If I can get it to do it without... I'm definitely going to have to go down the road and get some better bottles. These are nice, don't get me wrong, and I've used them for years, but I don't know, I keep leaking all over the place. Anyway, all right. So there we are. So that more like blue on your screen, but it's definitely a very lime green on mine. All right, so once again, now this is, like I said, I would grab a bottle. Now I'm not going to use an open bottle because, a full bottle, sorry, because we've got some problems here. But so down here, I would squirt it around here and so forth and such, and maybe a little bit in the crevasses up here and such, because it's supposed to give that sort of mossy green. Now I will add flock later on, or add flock where it's required, but it is good to have like a little sort of a green tinge to it. Okay, we've got a little bit room left on this, I think, the top there. Let's see if we can get a bit of green happening, shall we? I'm rather embarrassed, to be honest with you, having bottles that are failing on me. I always try to be professional. All right. Let's see what happens. Yeah, see, that's not very good. That's a very mild green. Not too sure well how that's coming up. But yeah, it's okay. It's not spectacular. I would say easily 4 or 5 more of these. Problem is, I have put too much in. And this has caused problems. I guess the hindsight rule here is, you know, always leave a larger gap. But, like I said, eyeballing it. The funny thing is that at the moment, and I'm not too sure if you'll be able to tell, that the actual line of liquid is here. And this is all just foam, which is the problem. Now, what I should have done, I think, is maybe just done that, not get up and down like a madman. But you live, you learn. Now, over the next, I don't know, few months, I will hopefully be showing you a lot of painted models. And from there, showing you some pretty amazing stuff. But unfortunately, I am in a bit of a holding pattern at the moment. So I have to be patient. Now, let's see. It's a bit more greener, but still not where I'm happy with. Tell you what we're going to do. We're going to be a little bit adventurous, shall we? What did I do with that cloth? We're going to, I'm just going to squeeze it up here so we can get rid of a whole lot of these bubbles. And what I'm going to do is, beautiful green. I'm sure it looks blue on camera. I don't know why it does that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to not use the pipette it comes with. I'll put that to one side. I'm just going to pour a little bit in. All right, so that's got a fair amount of green. Oops, that's definitely the wrong lid. Okay. And then I'm going to put in a little bit of black just to darken it up a bit. Now this I will not use a lot of. I will use a small amount. So I've got that much on there, and I'm going to use about half of that. Actually, no, we'll use most of it. There's a big bottle after all. Okay, that should darken her up a little bit, because I want that moldy green look. Now, I do have other paints that work just as well and have just as nice as effects, and they are used quite a lot. The green is more the bulk, like all the washes are. They're mostly there for, you can always see the black in there. A little goes a long way. Well, that's looking very, very sinister. I love how the green gets onto the label itself, like, hey, this is what I am. I'm the green, which is kind of appropriate, really. All right, we'll give this a go now. I'll just give it one more little upsy-downsy shake. And what I'm looking for is that sort of dark, deep sea green, like, you know, it came from the bottom of the ocean sort of look. Oh, yes. Yes, it came from the ocean. All right. So we'll do a bit of contrast. That's what we have been using, and that's on the white. So, well, there's a bit of white there. All right. Yeah, there we go. Much better. That's more of a sinister dark green. You can see the lines better. You can still see everything except for the fact that it's a much better green. And why is my camera going out of focus? This camera has been working well for me for freaking weeks, and now it goes over the brown, the really brown. Oh, yeah, not too bad. So yeah, it's a lot better. It's a lot smoother. It's coming up a lot better. A little bit of light on it. Maybe that looks better. There we go. You can see it better. And in some respects, the green here mixed with the pretty brown, it's a wonderful effect. It looks like it's at the bottom of the ocean. It's quite nice. That's really quite beautiful. All right, and there you go. That's the finished product there. Looks quite nice. Once again, your hands are going to get dirty. All right. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to sign off shortly, and then I will spend the afternoon playing Mad Scientist and doing the rest of these bottles. So I've got a couple more spray bottles to do and so forth. Now, this can be done with all paints within reason. I mean, if you want to go off and like the Ready Brown, if you want to do one in red or green or orange or blue and so forth for a wash, you go for it, not a problem. And more water will make, it more watery and so forth, and it's fun to play around with, and it is enjoyable. Not relaxing, but it's enjoyable, and it's great to be able to just pull off, grab your bottle of whatever and just go and away you go, instead of fumbling around. Is this going to be good? And then, you know what it does, you know what it looks like, bang, and away you go. And the wonderful thing is, when this dries, I can see all of the effects. So there's the black, there's the red, there's a mixture of it, there's the green there and such, and I can have a good idea. What I also tend to do is take photos. So I will get the camera out and I'll say, all right, well, this is a finished product with the black. This is a finished product with the green. And that way, if I ever have a problem doing a model, I'm going, how does that black look at the end? There we go. It's always handy to have. I love technology. It's just really worked out so well. If it was only around 30 years ago when I was a young boy. All right. Like I said, if you have any questions, please ask, like and subscribe. And this has been my old wash cures from the 80s and 90s and so forth. And it always evolves. I'm sure in 12 months' time I'll have another version and that it involves something else. Now, one thing before I forget, Agrac earth shades and so forth that come from Games Workshop and such, they're great. They are phenomenal, and they, are a lot more expensive. Do they work better than this? Maybe. I really can't tell. I do have some of the old Agracs and so forth, and I've got, what's this one? This one's Reichland Flesh and so forth. These things, they're expensive, and they do work. I think these are more for miniatures. All the stuff that I've made today will be for terrain only. I will not be using that on miniatures whatsoever. I should have mentioned that at the start. This is for terrain only. This stuff is, the only thing that I would use on miniatures would be the basic, because that's just by itself. And you can just mix that with paint. Everything else is definitely for terrain only. It's made for it. Any questions? All right. I'm out of here. I'm going to go have some lunch. Everyone have a wonderful afternoon, evening, morning, wherever in the world. Stay safe, craft hard, and I shall see you next time. This is Chaos Out.